Hey, what's up, man?
What's up? Woo!
What's going on, bud?
How's it going? Hey,
Oh,
that's my dog. Hey, chill out. Just doing a rig rundown with my friends, okay? Relax. We're good.
welcome, man. I'm glad to have you on here.
Dude, I'm so stoked to be here, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks for
Well,
having me. You're the man
yeah.
around these parts, I hear.
I don't know about all that. Well, since I need to kind of work on my intros and everything, everybody, for those unaware, my name's Ryan here with Rigs of Death Metal, and my guest today is Bobby Keller, metal shred guitar extraordinaire.
I try to be.
Hell yeah, dude. And no bullshit. I'm extremely picky when it comes to instrumental music. Like, I'll go through phases where I'll put on, I'll go back and listen to like some Shrapnel Record stuff.
Oh,
Same
God
as,
bless the Shrapnel Records. Mike Varnell,
right?
guys, man.
But, there's not a ton that I can just put on any given time.
Right.
Like I got to be in the mood for certain ones. But uh, I swear to God, your stuff gets stuck in my head. Like some of the melodies, especially like Perpetual Dreams.
Oh, yeah, dude. Thank you.
Like it'll be stuck in my head for like a couple days at a time every time I hear it.
Right, right. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Maybe I
absolutely.
did something right.
What is it?
Maybe I did something right.
Absolutely. Which
I appreciate it,
I
man.
definitely want to pick your brain on songwriting and melodies and all that stuff here in a little bit. But first, since we're right here at it, why don't we just break down the rack gear and guitars and all that stuff for everybody? I'm
Yeah,
sure what a lot of us are here for.
of course. No, for sure. Yeah, so you see my refrigerator behind me, and this is what I like to keep cold in here. Uh, you know, but yeah, like all right. So we'll go through this. There's actually one piece of gear that's not here. It's a KHE audio amp switcher.
Yeah.
It's on its way from somewhere in Europe right now, but I use that will be used as the amp switcher. So like if something were to go wrong or go down, knock on wood, thank God, goodness it doesn't happen. But I can literally just push a button and it goes from like the main head to the spare like that, and it's seamless. There's no issue.
Sure.
So that's the one piece of gear that's not here right now. But basically what happens is I have a multi-selector. I have the wire. My wireless isn't on right now because I'm right here.
Sure.
So the wireless comes in, and then the channels are switched. So I have like my main one channel, the second channel, and then I have like a cable. If the wireless goes down or whatnot, and then I have like a master mute. So like no matter what, it'll just shut everything up.
Yeah.
Then I go into the Shure ULXD dual channel wireless, which I really like because I just switched. What was it, before COVID happened? Yeah, like I had switched from the Line 6 G90 to Shure stuff because I hate to talk badly about anybody, but like I was having some crazy dropout problems, and I did
Oh,
not like that. So I switched over to the Shure. It's great. It's a digital wireless, so it's on its own frequency. So like if you're at a big show or a big venue and there's a lot of cell phones or RF
yeah.
antennas everywhere, like this kind of sticks on its own thing, and it's cool too because it updates while you're playing. So like if there's a signal that starts to come in, it'll automatically switch, which
Hmm.
is mind blowing to me. So, but I haven't had that. Well, you know what? I don't know if I've ever had that because if it switches, I wouldn't know.
Yeah. Right.
And so let's see. So after the wireless, it comes into the Crybaby rack wall, which
Hmm.
I really love. I enjoy this unit quite a bit because you can add like multiple wah controller type things. Like this is what it looks like. It's just a wah pedal, but it only
Sure.
has one side. So it's like just a controller. It's not actually like a pedal.
Hmm.
All the pedal stuff is all in that. And so like I'm able to kind of, EQ things differently. You know, I can kind of adjust the sweep, you know, and stuff like
Sure.
that. So I really like it, and plus it keeps everything kind of contained, like in the rack. That's my power Furman power conditioner, and then the GCX down here. This controls all my pedals, and I know you and I were talking about this. So we have like here. I'll move this over here so we can see what's going on. So this is my pedal section here.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do is I have the tuner, but then I use the bypass to go to the Fortin Zool. And that I'm using with the key input. So it keeps things like extra quiet. And for people that don't know about the key input, it basically adjusts your gate to where it's not closing anything, like the gate, it's not closing the gate on how the noise. It actually starts to close the gate on how you play. So like the way I play, or you know, I kind of dial it in there on the key input. So like I get a little bit better of a tighter, you know, way of being, I guess. And then I love, as you can see, all the pedals in here besides the Fortin are all from my friend Michael Klein. I love Michael. He's an amazing person, and he also makes amazing pedals. So what I have in here is the Sammy Pierre Douay, however you say his last name. I love Sammy. Shout out to Sammy and Goat Whore. But this is his signature overdrive pedal, the Diebuck or D-Buck, however you say it. I love this thing. It sounds incredibly awesome, and it really goes well with the Driftwoods for some reason. And then I have the coolest chorus pedal ever called the Tyrannochorus Rex. Same thing from Michael. And that is probably, honestly, one of the best chorus pedals I've ever heard or played. Very vintagey sounding, you know, and just sounds amazing. I'll give you guys some like sound clips here in a second. And then my go-to try-to all forever pedal that I basically can't play without is the Lonely Ghost. And this was a pedal I just fell in love with because it's a delay, a reverb, and a boost. This little knob on the side is like a very nice clean boost. It doesn't color your sound. It just basically turns it up. You know, I use that for leads and stuff. And it's real loud, so I don't need to turn it up too much. And you guys can see too, like the tape, I tape all my knobs so like they kind of stay put and they don't, you know, go anywhere. And yeah, that's about it. So it's kind of simple, not a whole lot going on, but a lot of the tone and a lot of that stuff. Oh yeah, and I have the Voodoo Lab pedal power in there, back in there, power and everything. And then, so then we get to the amps. These are by far one of my favorite amps ever.
I love the Bunch
because they
Bladder.
match my guitars. But shout out to Merrick and Driftwood. We came up with a little bit of an idea to get kind of like the best of both worlds. And what I mean by that is that I'm basically playing a regular tube amplifier, but it has a cab IR loader in the back. So it allows me to basically just kind of plug right in the front of house, and I get a consistent sound every night, but yet I'm still playing a tube, and tube amp, and I can still hear my cabs and all that stuff. And and it also comes with the IRs that are loaded in there. I think there's like 12 or 15 slots, so you can kind of put your own in there. But the ones that come with it are from Lasset Lemaire over there in Germany, and they come preloaded, so you know they're already like fire.
Sure.
So yeah, this was the gold one that we did to copy basically my gold guitar, my ESP, and we unveiled that at the Guitar Summit, and that was really cool. Got a lot of people that were like, whoa, what is that? You know, but it's cool too because these are both 50 watts, so they're not the full 100-watt Driftwood. These are like the mini Nightmares, but in a rack version. So I can just boop boop, throw them in here, and bada bing, bada boom. Like I said too, the KHE amp switcher will be in here, so I can literally go between, you know, which one. And it's cool too because I can control like the cabs. I also have, we'll get into that too. The cab you'll see up top, up top here. Oh, and Eddie Van.
Oh, there we go.
So this cabinet is one of my new 2x12s that we just got from Driftwood, and I'm usually a vintage 30 guy.
Mm-hmm.
But these actually, when I was over there in Germany recently, we actually tested a whole bunch of speakers and cabinets combinations, and we came across a V30 from the Tube Amp Doctor, and then a M65 Creamback, and it sounds so incredible. It's like it gives it this texture. I kind of feel like I was missing my whole life, and he was so cool to put like my logo on it and stuff like that. And there's actually two 4x12s in the same kind of combination,
Mm-hmm.
an X pattern, but those are being built right now.
Okay.
And they'll hopefully be on the way because, for shows and stuff like that. So we got some cool stuff coming. And yeah, so, all the good stuff. And then here, I guess I'll start talking about guitar. Oh, you know what? Here, I'll give you a little sound demo. So
Sure.
this is the chorus pedal that I have with the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Ooh.
So it's like very glassy.
Yeah.
It always just sounds killer, Just and
Absolutely.
I don't have it set to where everything's too chorusy. It's like enough to where if like I just need a little extra, whatever.
Yeah.
And then I control everything too by the ground control, the Voodoo Labs ground control down here. And then here's the crunch. So this is like my main rhythm channel where the Fortin and all that stuff comes into play, and the cab. So. But see how quiet as soon as I stop playing, like it senses my fingers are off, like it totally cuts it, And then the lead channel, which I call my scream channel. I'm a huge horror movie buff, so I'm always like, yeah. So this is the lead channel, so similar to the last channel, but it has the Lonely Ghost engaged.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. I love that pedal. Shout out to you, Michael. Thank you for building the best pedals ever.
Absolutely. I think I've got.
You got a couple?
Yeah, I think I've got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I got 3 right now from him.
Nice.
So need to get more. We've talked about the Lonely Ghost and the Tyrannosaurus, but haven't pulled the trigger yet. I've got his noise gate, the ball gag.
Oh, the ball gag. Yeah, those are really good. Yeah.
And then I've got 2 different overdrives from him.
Sweet.
The Christogrim and the other one's like a one-off, just for fun custom that he made. It's like the TC electronic preamp.
Oh.
It's like the TC preamp, the 33, and the grind all combined into one pedal.
Whoa. I didn't even know about that. That's a sweet sounding little pedal right there.
He made it for fun just to see. Yeah. And he didn't really get along with it. So I was like, I'll take it.
No, it's so cool because, Michael, he's never too afraid or hesitant to like jump on an idea. Like if you propose something to him, he's like, I got it. Like, I'll do it. Like, he already knows, like, he's a genius. And
oh yeah,
I admire that a lot about him because he's always kind of coming up with stuff like that is just so outrageous, but it's so awesome, and the quality is just, I was out on the road with this rig last year, and I mean, it was like I had no problems whatsoever, and it was great. And the pedals just kind of stand up, with everybody else, the amps, and the guitars and stuff. So it has really legitimately become a part of my sound. And like I said, I can't play anything without the Lonely Ghost at least being in the mix somewhere.
Yeah. Which now when you were out live, like touring and playing last, did you have the Driftwoods then, or were you still on the Kempers?
I just had gotten this head. the blood.
Okay.
That came in like right before I was getting ready to head out. I knew it was coming. You know, we had talked about it, and you know, Merrick, another example of a genius. I mean, he built all of the heads, you know, by hand, him
Oh,
only. Like no one else does this but him, and you know, he takes the time to really make sure all the components and all the stuff is you know top quality. And you know, when I had approached him about this idea, he was like, "Yeah, let's freaking do it. It makes sense." And you know, he knocked it out of the park. And then I basically had the whole run to kind of test the amp and see how much I liked it, you know, what it sounded like. And I'll be honest, it was great because you know, you get the same thing with the Kemper because I love the Kemper. There's nothing wrong with the Kempers. I think the only thing that happened was because of the pandemic, I was playing my heads more than I was playing my Kemper because they were all, you know, in storage.
sure.
And, you know, when I went back to the Kemper, I was like, you know, some, whatever that is, it's something's missing. And so I ended up, you know, kind of thinking, well, it might be time to go back to a tube amp.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
yeah, I get it. Absolutely. Which it's so funny. One of the things that kind of sells everyone on the Kempers, like myself included, is just kind of the flexibility, the changing on the flies, and convenience. But
right.
looking at how you have like your fridge rack set up, it's like the I don't know, it's like the more old school way of getting that same flexibility.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
you know, which I appreciate. I mean, I've talked to plenty of people like the kind of the you know the fridge rack setup. Like we're kind of used to seeing all the rock stars that we grew up going to
Right.
go see live. You know, these giant road cases. I mean, it's just cool. It's so much cooler, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like it's the cool way of achieving that flexibility and that
Right.
convenience of
Right.
the modelers and stuff. But
Right. No, I agree. You know, you know, I grew up, you know, idolizing Metallica and, you know, bands like that and just looking at all their rigs and you know, all the cases and stuff like that. And, you know, it's definitely something it's maybe not the most practical because I'm, you know, breaking my back every other night trying to wheel this thing around. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, it's a little bit of a mix, you know, of old school and new school. And, you know, technology has come so far, you know, and
sure,
it's like, you know, why not take advantage of, you know, the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And
right.
I just couldn't be happier, to be honest. I mean, this is like me in a fridge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like tonally, and as far as like convenience and
Right.
switching patches on the fly, running IRs direct to front of house, like you're not losing anything, and you're just gaining even better, more authentic tone. Um,
That's what I like to think.
yeah. So it's like if I could, like that would be like that is the dream setup right there.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's what we all want.
Right.
But um, which by the way, I gotta ask, how was meeting Metallica?
Oh, I'll be honest with you, man. I'm still to today processing all of that. You know, it
Yeah,
was such an incredible moment. You know, I honestly felt like I was dreaming. You know, I don't usually get too nervous. You know, I get a little nervous, you know, before I go on stage, but that's just normal stuff. But like,
sure.
I got really nervous. Like when I got into like the room we were all, you know, designated to, and you know, all of a sudden it was like it just kind of hit me like, hey, you're about to like meet your maker, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like this is it right here, you know. And it was just so cool, you know, such an incredible opportunity. You know, shout out to you know Maria. Metal Maria,
Absolutely.
shout out to the Zazula family, you know, for having all of us in Metallica. I mean, they had it all out, you know, for all of us, and they always do such a fantastic job. And you know, I was actually good friends with Johnny Zazula. He lived like maybe 30 minutes away from me, you know. And so before he unfortunately passed away, you know, we got to spend some good time together. And you know, it was just kind of like a full circle type moment. I think there was also a lot of emotions going on because you know we all really love and miss you know Johnny and Marcia and you know just what they did for the world. Without them, there would be no Metallica. So, it's just very cool. And to also, I won't even lie, kind of see Metallica as not Metallica, but like as actual, just normal human beings in a family oriented, like, environment. And it was just really cool. We all just got to hang and tell some stories, laugh, and before you knew it, it was over. Then they,
Yeah.
Go out and crush, the hotel casino out there. So really cool.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
That's awesome, dude. I know that you talked about Metallica plenty of times and shared plenty of stuff on here, so I can only imagine what that would be like. I get nervous and tongue tied just talking to some of the guests that I have on here. Guys I've been fans of for years, and so when you get to actually meet people in person, it can be a little like,
Right.
turn into like the crackly voiced teenager a little bit.
Oh, the inner child inside my body
Oh yeah.
was like it was like trying to keep him at bay was quite a challenge.
Sure. Well, speaking of Metallica, I know you have the Kirk's EMG Bone Breaker set and at least one of your guitars.
Yeah, I have them and actually I have them in most of my guitars now.
Okay.
These are them right here.
Okay.
This is my glow in the dark. I call it my Ghoul guitar. Technically, I have 3 Ghoul guitars, so like this is Ghoul 3. This was the latest one from the ESP Japanese shop, custom shop, and I mean, they just blow it out of the water every time that they do something. And I had like the idea of the black fade going into the glow in the, so anything you see that's this color glows in the dark. And these pickups are the Bone Breakers from EMG. I've been with EMG for quite some time. I love EMG pickups. I don't think I'd ever play anything else because, again, it's kind of become my sound. And anything that doesn't sound right to me or just kind of doesn't feel right, I just immediately, whatever. But these pickups are great because with me being in a drop A tuning, so it's a little lower, there's not too much of a crazy difference between these guys and like the regular like 81, 60, but they are voiced a little bit differently. I know that Kirk has to kind of compete with James as far as like mid-range and stuff, and the more lead tones. So these actually really help a low-tuned guitar very well. Like they help it cut through and they help it kind of like not sound as muddy, and it tightens up the low end a little bit. And that was just kind of a weird coincidence, or weird thing I found out because usually I'm using the EMG 5766 set, which I love very much so. And those pickups are actually in the Blood guitar. So these,
God, I love that.
Yeah, we'll get into that guitar here in a second. But those pickups or the Bone Breakers are usually what I'm playing. I really like the 5766 because those are like the passive active, like in between pickups. So you get that big, wide, like passive sound, but you also have that aggression in the attack from the active pickups. So it's a nice blend, and I can't complain. Yeah, I've been really happy with the Bone Breakers, and they just become my sound. So now all of a sudden, in all my drop A guitars, that's what have the Bone Breakers in them. They just automatically. So plus, how cool is that green logo?
That is pretty sick.
It goes perfectly with the guitars.
You know what? I'm a little bit kicking myself for not going with because of the green alone, not going with those for my last guitar.
Oh man, come on! You gotta do it.
I may have to. I got the X series in them, and those are.
What do you usually tune to?
You
have just like a bunch of a bunch of guitars tuned to stuff.
I'm kind of all over the place, but I've really been favoring C sharp standard to drop B.
Right.
Really
you should totally try these out. You'd probably really like them.
Hell yeah.
Drop B, that realm. Because I mean, I'm in B standard, just drop the A, so it's like the same thing. And then and then here we go. I had a paper cut one day, and it just kind of got all over my guitar. I got to tell my tech to clean it. But this is a very special guitar. I think we all know that this thing has kind of got its own life, you know, like it should have its own Instagram page. But this guitar is basically a stock E2, ESP E2 Eclipse, you know, kind of like the EC1000, but you know, just the E2. I guess the E2s are the ones that are still made in Japan, but they like took over the standard series ESP. And so when I got this guitar, it was just one of those guitars. I was like, holy crap, you know, it just sounds and plays, feels tremendous. Let's mess it up. So I was like, let's call my friend Jason Oberly. You know, shout out to Jason. He's a phenomenal artist, phenomenal painter. He's done a lot of guitars for a lot of people. You know, John Five, Chris Cale. I know he does Gene Simmons basses from Kiss. And I said, hey, I was like, I really want to blood splatter this. And he goes, I got you. Send it out to me. So I was like, okay. So I sent it out to him. And then not too long. It didn't take that long. But then I got it back. And I was just blown away. And the thing is with this guitar and the way he did the blood, it's like it's very three-dimensional. And it's all on the back, too. So it's like, wow. You know, and the coolest part is that he took his thumb and he put it right there and he signed it. So I was like, oh, that's such a cool little touch, you know? And yeah, I mean, here is this thing. I mean, this thing is bananas. And he was like, yeah, I wanted it to look like you literally smashed somebody over the head with a guitar. I was like, you did a great job. I mean, I actually think you did smash somebody over the head that, you know, you didn't like or something. And, you know, and then clear coated it. But it's a phenomenal guitar. It stays like in D standard or like half step down from standard. And I won't mess with this too much. It's just too good of a guitar the way it is. And unfortunately, because of that, I don't use it live as much because I'm, you know, usually in a different tuning. But if, you know, I'm doing like a pop-in surprise thing and like I'm in that tuning, then hey, guess what's coming out? You know, it's this one.
Right.
But the other thing too is it's a shorter scale. It's like a Les Paul scale, I think 22 3/4. So not exactly my favorite because I'm usually playing the 25 5s, and like when I switch over, it kind of messes with me a little bit. Not too much, but it's enough to be like, you know. Yeah. So I'm hoping that one day I can get another ESP with a 25 5 and maybe kind of do this one again, but in a little bit of a different spec so I can use it more, you know, live.
Sure.
But other than that, I mean, it's one of my favorite guitars. It sounds phenomenal. It always feels great no matter what. You know, and like even just plugging here, I'll just plug it into the rig now, you know, with no other kind of adjustment. I mean, it's just a monster guitar. Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's like, just love it. I love it to death. And let's see, I got one more for you. A lot of my guitars right now are being worked on, unfortunately, because there's a show that was just announced. I'll be making the live debut finally in January 6th of next year. So they're all kind of getting worked on at the moment. But this guitar is very special because this is the USA shop ESP. Which is really cool about this guitar is that these pickups are actually bone breakers. They're not, or I mean, they're bone breakers. And I think if I'm not mistaken, I think that there's only like a handful of golden pickups that they did. I had to beg. I was like, guys, please, I just need it to match the guitar. and I think Kirk is the only one that has he has like a couple V's that have like the gold bone breakers in them. And so I was lucky enough, to throw these in there. And again, you know, the USA shop that they have over in LA, there's my Kiss sticker. You know, they killed it. This is a great guitar. It feels phenomenal. And here's the difference is this one is actually a bolt-on neck. And that was a very nice surprise. I've talked to quite a few people about the bolt-on necks and like lower tunings. And this guitar gives me more of like a snap and like a little bit more of like a twang, not like country twang, but like a twang to the guitar. So it like it really kind of speaks you know, with the bolt on. And usually I'm a neck through guy because all the other guitars have are neck through or set through. But this was a very nice surprise that I very much enjoy, like recording and stuff. Like I'll use this guitar for recording a lot, and live, you know, I beat the hell out of it, but I love it. And
Yeah.
the reason I have the Kiss sticker is because the idea behind this guitar came from when I saw Kiss. Paul Stanley has like that gold mirror, cracked mirror, you know, Iceman, and I was like, whoa! I was like, that thing is outrageous, you know, like how cool is that guitar? And so when I had the opportunity to build the USA, I was like, let's just make it as obnoxious as I can. And I was like, let's make it look like Paul Stanley. So gold, you know, gold flake with the gold pickup, gold hardware, you know, there's gold everywhere up here. The only thing I'm missing is gold frets, which I didn't know you could even do, but there might be a situation where I change these out at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But again, solid guitar, you know, it's like, I think it's in like an A sharp, but let's see. So again, aggressive, mean.
Absolutely.
Gives me some extra tone, and it looks good with the amp, you know.
I love the fun and the showmanship that you actually put into the design of all your guitars.
I appreciate that.
And there are so many like satin black plain guitars out there now.
Right.
And as much as I love like murdered out, stealthy looking guitars, it's so refreshing to see guitars that are just fun and are actually like stand out and have that kind of flair to them. Like you just don't see it as much anymore.
Right, right. I'm a huge fan and a sucker for the 80s. Anything in the 80s, you know, the George Lynch Tiger guitars, like, you know, those odd shapes, like Explorers or, you know, whatever it was, like, and the loud colors, you know, I'm a fan of that, you know, and I just try to put a little bit of me, you know, in the guitars, you know, and just be different, you know, because yeah, you're right. There's so many flat black or, you know, I don't love flat black, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, flat black guitars or, you know, the all white guitars and, you know, those are very classy, very elegant in their own right. But for me, I need something a little bit extra, you know, I don't know why, but I always feel like, you know, everybody kind of has the ability to make their own thing, you know, and I guess I'm trying to just kind of do my own thing over here, you know, and
Right.
and I appreciate, you know, that you and, you know, a lot of people too, like, you know, they said the same thing. They really appreciate the originality or, you know, whatever it is. And I'm all about that. So, you know, hell yeah.
Absolutely, dude. I mean, it's because at the end of the day, it's, you know, music is still a form of entertainment. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You got to bring some panache and flair.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, exactly. You know, some flair. I call it spice. I like to get spicy.
Yeah. Let me see. I had a question in regard to the ESPs, but I kind of got sidetracked with how sick they look. So you're pretty much either a 57, 66 or a bone breaker guy.
Yeah.
What is it about the 57, 66? Is it just like the kind of the almost passive, the wider dynamic range and everything?
Yeah. You know, for me, I noticed, well, like, so when I was first with EMG, I think I was playing, you know, the 8160. And then what happened was is I got introduced. I'm actually a real big fan of Richie Faulkner, the guy who Judas Priest. I actually really, really admire him and his playing. And he was the one that was kind of demoing these pickups out. And I was like, man, what are those pickups? And so when they put them out at NAMM, I was lucky enough to basically beg and plead to allow them to try a set out. And they gave me the first red pair. And that's when it was the blood guitar. So at the time, they were just getting ready to put those all out in that color. And I immediately put them in the blood guitar, and I was just blown away. I mean, because, yeah, it gives you that that big wide sound, but yet it still just gives you that aggression that you need. Because I've played passive pickups, you know, I've played, you know, some Les Pauls and Explorers back in the day that had like, you know, whatever they come with, but they were good, but I always felt like I needed a little more, and I always felt like I had to EQ more, or I had to use more things to
Yeah.
get what I was looking for. And obviously I know that's not the case with everybody, but for me, I was like I'm not real happy with these. And that's when I had gotten turned on to you know, or I got with EMG, and then you know, I started to slowly go towards the 5766, and then I discovered the Bone Breakers. Because honestly, how that happened was I just happened to you know, I hit up Tommy over at EMG. I was like, hey, you know how much of a fan I am of Metallica. I would love to try Kirk's pickups, you know, just to have them, you know, not to even. I had no intention of, you know, switching over everything. But then when I started using them with the Drop A, and I was recording like Rain and Fire, Light Bear, and Perpetual Dreams, I was like, wow. I mean, because me and Ben, who's also my drummer and producer, we have quite the writing thing. So like when we sit down and we go through the riffs, or, you know, we go through like drum beats, and then I do a riff, you know, something like that. We kind of go back and forth, and, you know, we feed off of each other. And when we were going through the pickups and different guitars, we were just like, yeah, I mean, whatever it is the Bone Breakers do, they just really help cut through, you know. And so that's when it happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm sold. Thank you, Kirk, and thank you, EMG.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of your singles, um, sorry, I had to clear that real quick.
No, you're fine. Totally
Speaking
fine.
of your, speaking of them, I'm a huge fan. I love like the chunky riffs mixed with like the crazy hooky melodies.
Yeah.
What what all kind of goes into your songwriting process? What comes first? Do you get a melody in your head and you kind
Yeah.
of just build around that, or is it a byproduct of, you know, these thick, nasty, you know, A sharp riffs?
Right, right. So like for me, I think you know, when me and Ben first got together, you know, I had told him, I was like, listen, you know, I want to be an instrumental solo. I want to do this solo instrumental thing. You know, I'm a huge fan of Vi, you know, Satriani, you know, Jason Becker, you know, obviously Dimebag Eddie. You know, I have a whole list of people, but I wanted to do something instrumentally that I felt might not be happening at the moment. I mean, I kind of feel like it is, but like I wanted to take more of a modern approach, and I wanted to be heavier. I think I wanted to concentrate more on the actual song than like just a million notes
Yeah,
per my, you know, which is fine. I mean, that's cool too, because I love that music too. But I think for me, I was looking to try and connect, you know, with more people, and you know, making these songs. And Ben says the same thing. You know, we want to make music that stands on its own without vocals. And basically, my leads and my melodies and the, you know, that kind of stuff are basically the vocals. So it was honestly, it was a little bit of a challenge for me, coming from more of a band atmosphere to now I'm basically writing vocals on my guitar. So it's a little bit of a different approach, a little bit of a different strategy. And I think what's happened with me is I like to collect a lot of riffs. You know, I'll store them on my phone, or like whenever I'm playing, I'm always trying to record so I have the ideas, and I can look back at them later. And you know, or there might be a situation where Ben has like a drum thing, and then I'm like, oh wow, okay, so then I'll just, you know, I'll riff out on the drums, you know. And then there's times too where like, you know, he'll come up with a guitar melody, or some kind of melody, and you know, might be on keys too, and then we just kind of build off of that, you know. And I think I'm lucky to have someone like that I can work so closely with, and we just really bounce off of each other very well. And
yeah,
you know, the melodies for me too are like important, because I like to make, like you said, you know, melodies that stick in your head, like, and that you can hum more so than like not remember after I play. You know what I mean? So like a lot of my writing and a lot of my technique is based on like Gary Moore, you know, like Rory Gallagher, how those guys would play with so much feeling and emotion, you can't help but be like, oh wow, I feel that, you know, more than like, you know, blah, 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 you know, which is fine again, but like that's just for me. I want to really try to make these songs and you know make the music stand on its own. And so far, I mean, the response has been pretty crazy, and you know, I'm really excited because there's some new music too that's spread around the corner, and you know, I can't, it's been a minute because, you know, everything going on, but I'm really
Sure.
excited to get out, and, you know, I just can't wait to see what people think. So good
Oh
stuff.
yeah. Which, by the way, one thing I've noticed from you and a lot of musicians I've listened to lately that are choosing more of the singles format
Right.
or maybe like EPs just to get content out on a more regular basis,
Right.
even if it's not like a full, you know, huge, big, full album.
Right.
Was that a like conscious decision, or was it just like I need to just keep putting my name out there, and it became almost more necessity?
Yeah. I would have to agree that, you know, as things have kind of gone on, you know, with everything and how like the industry and, you know, whatever is shifting a lot, you know, I think it's cool because, you know, myself as a music listener, you know, I know that there's some albums or whatever I don't even get to listen to all of it, you know, and I kind of go song by song. So I can see where, you know, the benefit of releasing singles in more of a you know, a quicker timeline, you know, to keep up with, you know, all the content and stuff is cool, and that's basically what I've been doing. I'm a little bit more old school too because I like the albums, you know, and I like having a collection of songs.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I think depending on the situation or kind of what you're trying to do, I think it's very beneficial to, you know, do the single thing, and that just kind of seems to be the move.
Yeah.
I know some of the new stuff we're planning to release as singles, you know, and then having like, you know, everything at the end. But you know, it's just kind of the way it's going. I think too, a lot of people, you know, the attention span is just so short nowadays. So it's like, you know, they don't have necessarily, unless, you know, they have the time, but, you know, a lot of people just find themselves in such a quick, they're always like this, you know, so it's like, you know, oh, I want to check out that song. Cool. I don't have a whole album to listen to, you know, so it's like, eh. But to me, I'm also like old school too, where like I won't listen to anything on Spotify until I buy it on vinyl. Like if it's something I really want to listen to, or, you know, friends bands or whatever it is, like I'll buy the vinyl first and then I'll listen to it and then I'll listen to it on Spotify. So I'm like, I kind of do like this weird thing, but you know, I feel like that's just kind of the way it is. You know, I love the old school approach with stuff, and yet throwing in that modern stuff as well. You know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I kind of find myself, you know, a foot in each camp as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like like me and my wife, we have a decent vinyl collection building
Nice.
up, and tapes and CDs and
Yeah, dude.
I just got an Apple Music account this year, I think. You know,
Yeah.
so uh, I'm slowly coming
Right.
into this century, but yeah, and there's I see it way more in pop music that with releasing singles and everything.
Right.
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 There's this one really cool band that I don't know if you know the band Teeth. Well, I guess there's two. There's like a death metal band, and then there's more like like a metalcore band.
Oh, cool.
Um,
They should
Teeth,
play a show together.
I know, right?
Teeth, one night.
Yeah.
All the teeth.
Uh, for anyone interested, Teeth Noise, I think, is how they're on Instagram.
All
But
right.
if you go to like their Apple Music, it's all singles.
Right.
Like the collection, like almost an album's worth of singles at this point.
Wow.
And I don't know. I haven't. I need to talk to Chris. I talked to him on here some, but what their plan is. But it seems more and more that's kind of the way to go. That's how people want to consume music anymore,
It's the consumption rate. It's so fast, you know.
and and every artist. no matter what platform it seems you're on now, uh, social media, YouTube, streaming services, it seems like you're trying to serve some kind of algorithm.
Right.
So, so
Right.
regular content, keeping your name relevant, maybe that's more the ticket than,
Right.
you know,
It's the
uh,
crazy game we're all playing
yeah,
with no
um,
instructions.
yeah. That's the other thing. They keep changing the rules.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
An ever moving, evolving, thing that we all have to, try and do our best with, and I think you're right. The more consistent, pathway of things is seems to be the move. And, I'm not saying unfortunately, but just since, the way the music industry has always been, it's just, it can be daunting, for a lot of people and a lot of artists that maybe aren't as, you know, I don't know what the word I'm trying to say, but like you know tech savvy or whatever you want to say, and
Sure.
just it can be rough, and like even the other day I was trying to update something on Instagram and or and I'm like, whoa, this is different. Like, what are all these options now? And like what is that? And so it's like, oh, okay, got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I'm slowly trying to learn to do the same for myself.
Right.
Need to, need to try to stay a little bit more regular on songwriting,
There you go.
but all this and doing gear demos and all that stuff, it's at least I'm being productive in some avenue. But
We all got to start somewhere.
right. Oh, what kind of goals have you set for yourself right now, either musically or personally? Is
Ooh.
it just getting out there and playing shows, or is it trying to, get booked with a certain somebody for a tour?
Yeah, I mean, as far as goals, I have a lot of goals, and I'll be honest, I'm very fortunate that I've achieved a lot of these goals already. And this is something that me and Ben 2.5, maybe 3 years ago, whenever it was that we first started working together, and we met and stuff. Like, we talked about a lot of this stuff happening, and even with him personally and me personally too, like a lot of things have happened and we've achieved the goals or the things that we've put out to do the best we can with, and then some. So I think what's cool is that the goal is right now obviously is that the new music's done. For the most part, there's a couple little things we're tweaking, but nothing major. As far as the meat and potatoes, everything's done. The goal is to get that out, and the right way. There's going to be some music videos, all that stuff. But I think the overall goal too is to finally get out there on the road. I think that's the biggest goal, is just to go play shows. Maybe jump onto some festival stuff. If it can happen. And then, yeah, I would love to tour with somebody, or maybe tour on my own too. Like, I don't know. But whatever happens, I think the goal is to get out there and start playing this music live, because I just haven't had the opportunity yet. And
Yeah.
now that things are starting to change, thankfully, with this show coming up January 6th here in Orlando at the House of Blues, I'm just so excited. I couldn't be more excited to finally, play live and get this music out there, and like, see it how I've always envisioned it. Like, I always envision. That's another thing about my writing process, is I always think about like the live show. Like, I'm always thinking about like those points where, I want you to break your neck because it's so heavy, that kind of
Yeah.
situation. And like, I'm just so excited to finally, hopefully, see that happening. Obviously I don't want everybody to break their necks, but I'm encouraged the headbanging and the mosh pits as much as possible. And that's just how I am. Heavy metal, heaviness, whatever you want to call it. It's just, it runs in my blood, and it always has, and it's always been there. And maybe you know it's been more dormant in years, which is fine. But at the end of the day, we've reached this point and we're ready. So it's like, yeah, that's the goal. I want to see this face, like I want to see that face all the time. I make that, like, I want people's faces to hurt, because they're making that face.
That's uh that's something I have always appreciated more with songwriting, is having live applications kind of in mind. Whether it's, and there's nothing wrong with really cool experimental bands. Like I love Mastodon and
Oh, I love Mastodon. Brent Hines is like my spirit animal. I hope to one day meet him and just hang. Like I
right.
just want to hang and like just have a good time with him because like I love that guy. I love Bill too. I love Troy. I love all those guys.
They
Actually,
they seem chill. They
man.
seem really chill.
They are. They're phenomenal people. You know, and they make incredible music. And I
Oh
used
yeah.
to live in Atlanta back in 2009. Actually, that's when I started playing guitar. Like, and it was weird because they used to like hang out down in Atlanta a lot, like at the like little 5 Points and whatnot. Like I'd always
Yeah.
hear like, oh, the Mastodon guys are down there. I'm like, oh, what's Mastodon? And then I got turned on to them. I was like, whoa, this is
Yeah.
awesome. Like Crack This Sky. Like what? Like what? Like
Yeah.
so good.
Crack the Sky is still like this benchmark.
Right. Right.
But talk about a album oriented kind of music.
Right. Exactly. See, that's what I'm talking about. See,
Yeah.
there are those bands that it's like you have to listen to the album.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I was lucky when I saw the one and only time I saw them live. They were touring on Crack the Sky, so
Wow.
they were playing the album in its entirety, and they had like a movie to go along with it.
That's sweet.
And then after they played the album, they played like a handful of fan favorites like Circle of Sasquatch and Mother Puncher and
Right. I love Mother so much.
oh, so heavy.
Love
But
it.
like on some of their stuff, it was like in the studio, the song and like their ideas came first, and
Mm.
they're playing bands that do this. It's just the first one off the top of my head. You could take any progressive band really, where the songwriting and their ideas come first, and like the live thing is an afterthought.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, okay, can we pull this off live? And if not, then how do we compromise?
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been able to help but differentiate like taking that consideration as you're writing.
Right. That's
You
true.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's like, don't write a 4-part harmony unless you can play it live, kind of
That's
thing.
my rule. That
Yeah.
I know that's a rule with a lot of people, but I will stick by this until the day I'm no longer on this planet. Like if I can't play it live, I'm not gonna write it.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be able to go both
Yeah.
ways. I understand, nowadays it's different, and stuff like that, but it's like you you just kind of take away from it. If you can't replicate it live, it's like okay, studio cool, studio tricks, whatever, fine. But I want to be able to go see that live. I want to see that. Like that's the whole point. Like if that part is so cool and so ripping, I want to see it live, and I want to see you do it live, and I want to hear it. I want to
Yeah.
feel that. And that's where I definitely strong point. Everything I play or record or write, whatever it is, it's got to be able to be replicated live, or it's just not okay with me.
Yeah, I agree. So let me see. Other than the is it KHS? I always forget their name. The switcher.
Oh, the KHE. Yeah. Yeah.
KH. Yeah, sorry.
I think it's like
Uh,
KHE audio. Yeah.
yeah. Which I've seen so many studio guys with those that have like the big, where they're switching between like 16 different
Yeah.
amp heads, crap like that. But
And like 30 calves. Like they got
yeah,
more calves than Ingve.
yeah, yeah. Other than that, is there any other gear that you're eyeing right now? Anything that you're looking forward to, or just something that you're wanting to grab? Or
Ooh. I'll be honest with you. I'm really excited about getting my cabs from Driftwood.
yeah,
I know I have the 2x12, and honestly, I would put that 2x12 up against any 4x12. I mean,
oh
it's
wow,
that good. But there's something about the 4x12, and having that with these as it was supposed to be. You know what I mean? And I'm really excited to be able to crank these things up and really just launch it out there and hearing and feeling that sound. I think that's one of the things I'm most looking forward to. I'm always looking at guitars or thinking of crazy ideas, or little things here and there. Oh, there's also another. You know what? I don't have it with me, but the Evertune guitars are
Oh yeah.
fantastic. Any guitars that have the Evertune in them are amazing. I have completely converted to I'm a believer now, because I was like at first I was like, no, what is this, and how do you adjust it, how do you tune it? There's a little bit of a learning curve, but it's really not that bad. And once you have the guitar set, like, that's it. And one of the things I did purposely was I had a guitar that had an Evertune in it on the road when I was out last year, and I purposely left it in the guitar vault, never touched it, and I would put it in like cold temperatures, or like it would be really hot, and like I'd be like moving it back and forth on purpose, and I didn't even touch the guitar, I think, for like the first maybe 2.5 weeks, and then I finally picked it up and was like, all right, I want to see what's up with this thing. And then we had a sound check. I literally picked it up off of the rack, and I plugged it in, and it was still in tune. And I was like, I didn't have to do I didn't have to mess with it. And I was like, wow, okay. So then I started using it, and it just takes away all of that worry, on stage, or even
Yeah.
if you and I'll tell you what, for the studio it's even better, because you cut down on so much time tuning and restringing your guitar and all that stuff. And you can set it to where there's like no bend, even though you're bending, so it's like,
Sure.
if you have a heavy hand or whatever the case may be, you're not screwing up the notes. And it's just such an incredible piece of gear too, that I really love. I'm not really looking for it because I have them already, but for anybody that's looking for something, roadworthy, studio ready, I mean, like those, any guitar with the Evertune is incredible. And but besides the cabs, and stuff like that, I think I'm pretty happy at the moment. But there's always something, there might be a pedal that Michael makes, and I'm like, whoa, so I'm always open to new stuff. But I think for the most part, I finally have gotten myself to where I'm like really happy, and I kind of have everything I need. But, that might all change after NAMM.
Yeah. Something I just thought about with the Evertune, like you were talking about, moving it in and out in different temperatures and stuff. I know it automatically will adjust the string tension so the tuning stays the same,
Right.
but do you have to do any adjustments on like the truss rod of the necks or anything?
I mean,
Like
to be honest, I have not had to. My guitar tech, that's a different story. I mean, I'm sure he's had to adjust it to get it set up. But I'll be honest with you, once it's set, I mean, it's like the guitar doesn't have so much differential, because the however it works, to be honest with you, I don't even know how it works. I call it witchcraft, because it's some kind of magical thing. But like, you don't have so much of a tension pull because it's always consistent. So then your truss rod doesn't have to be adjusted as much. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. Like, once it's set and you have it where it's at, it really stays consistent. And it's to me, it's mind blowing. I don't know how they did it, but it's great. It's great for any musician, any guitar player that's looking to do something on the road or in the studio. So it really benefits both.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's killer, man. Looks like we've hit the hour mark, so I'll
already.
Yeah.
Man, we've had so much fun. Time flies when you're having fun, man.
Absolutely. We can just kind of wrap this up with my outro question that I always ask everybody, and then I'll let you go. Just a simple normally top 4 death metal bands, but we can broaden that to top 4 metal bands if that would be easier for you.
Okay. So obviously, I think Metallica is number 1. Pantera definitely number 2. I know Van Halen isn't considered metal, but I can't not say Van Halen. I love it. When he passed away, I cried for like 3 days straight, and everybody was like, Bobby, what the hell is wrong with you? And like, why are you crying? Like, you guys just don't understand, like, I love it. and you know that. But let's see, what Metallica, Pantera, Van Halen. I gotta go with, you said top 4 or 5.
Let's do 4.
Okay, so one more. Mm, I mean, you know what? Even though they're not the most metal, I will say Typo Negative. And I love
Ooh,
Typo Negative because they're heavy, but they're heavier in their own way. You know what I mean? More
yeah,
goth, you know, kind of stuff like that. But man, I mean, some of those melodies, you know, in there, they hide, you know,
yeah,
are top notch. And I think that's something that I'm instantly attracted to. You know, there's a lot of 80s hair metal bands that I'm a big fan of too. But if I had to take like my top 4, like those would be like the 4 essential bands to me. Like I'm like, you know,
sure.
that's it.
Since you said typo, I got to show you something real quick.
Oh, please. I want to see it.
Is being a Michael Klein guy
Yeah.
and also being a typo fan, you'll appreciate this.
Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, sorry about that.
No.
Typo is mine and my wife's favorite mutual band.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, whenever I got my first pedal for Michael, I knew exactly the color scheme and everything I wanted to do.
Oh,
So this is
oh
my,
yeah.
and he even did the wraparound black
Oh,
number 1.
like that. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to talk to him about that, dude. That's so cool.
And then
Wow.
for the ball
Wow.
gag, he actually upgraded and did a crackle for me,
Oh, those look sick.
and everything dies because
Awesome.
that's fitting for a noise gate, right?
Right?
You know?
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah. So
is. It is. It's so great. Oh my god.
I figured you'd appreciate that.
Oh,
So,
dude, I appreciate it more than ever.
and
Man, thank you for sharing that.
eventually, I'm gonna do the Tyrannosaurus or the Lonely Ghost, and they're both. He's already agreed. He's like, any pedal that we do has to be in the color scheme now,
Yeah,
and we have to do a
has
different
to.
song and wrap around font.
I love it. I think it's amazing, actually. Like, really good, really, really solid, good idea. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's genius. There he is.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's so cool.
But oh, you know what? I promise I'll let you go after this one. I did want to ask you, just because I know you're a big horror fan.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's a whole other conversation.
Do you think you would be able to narrow it down to a top 4 for horror movies?
Oh man, that okay. See, that's even harder.
Right?
The bands, but I'll tell you what. My first would have to be, my favorite is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So I'm a real big classic Universal Monsters fan.
Sure.
Dracula with Bela Lugosi.
Okay.
There's also a Spanish version. I forgot the name of the actor, but it's pretty good. I just saw it not too long ago, and
Huh.
it's like a whole different vibe than the regular Dracula with Bela Lugosi. But then Jaws, I love Jaws. Jaws is such an integral movie to just my being. You know, I grew up with watching that movie every single time it was on with my dad, you know, and I've seen it in the theaters and, you know, just I've been to Amity Island, like, so I've been up, or I mean, Martha's Vineyard where they filmed, you know, so it's just, I love that movie. I love sharks too, like in general. Like if I wasn't playing music, I'd probably be like on the Discovery Channel, or at least trying to be on the Discovery Channel, you know, like
Right.
diving with all the great whites and stuff. And I'd say the fourth movie, oh man, I really love, I think if I had to pick, I would have to say probably The Exorcist, because it was such a movie, scared the living crap out of me, you know, growing up, and just what it did, you know, it brought a whole vibe to the public eye that, you know, isn't necessarily, you know, something very commonly talked about. And, you know, the fear of being possessed and, you know, stuff like that is just crazy, you know, and not that it can't happen, you know, or whatever, but, you know, it's like that idea of that happening,
Yeah.
like, terrified me, you know, and my friends and, you know, everybody. But I think as a horror movie, you know, fanatic, like, you have to look at like the movies that kind of started something, and that was one
Sure.
of them. You know, and Rosemary's Baby, same thing, great movie,
Oh
kind
yeah.
of vibe, you know, and I love those kind of movies. So those are like my top four for sure.
Yeah. I
Maybe, but that could be it.
so it's kind of a niche subgenre within the genre, but like
Right,
Rosemary Baby started like this kind of started a whole satanic cult trend, and
right.
I love like those like late 70s, early 80s
The Satanic
movies.
Panic or whatever those were. Yeah, dude, those.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's same.
I
I
love
love
that.
stuff.
Like
It's like
like Devil's Reign. I know that was one had like Shatner in it.
right, right. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love all that. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time, man. Thanks for
Of
going
course, it was a
over all the
pleasure.
gear, talking some shred, talking some horror.
Love it, love it.
And thanks to Maria and Adrenaline PR for
Yes. Shout out
all
to
up for us.
Maria.
Look, and thank you all for tuning in. And
Yes. Thank you guys for checking it out, and thank you so much for having me, man. Honestly, honor and a pleasure. I hope we get to do it again.
yeah, absolutely, man. Is there anything you want to plug? Like when's the next thing coming out?
Right.
When's those happen?
So Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you know, all those places. It's Bobby Keller Official. You can kind of find me that way. My website is bobbykellerofficial.com, and coming up January 6th is the debut show at the House of Blues here in Orlando, and tickets are free. So if you'd like tickets to the show or can make the show at Orlando, you know, you can request them at bobbykellerofficial.com/free tickets, or anywhere on my socials. I have links to them. So yeah, if you guys want to come out and jam, and I want to see you in the pit, you know, it's
Hell yeah, that's awesome, man.
yeah, super stoked.
Well, cool. You guys heard them, and thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bob.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Have a good weekend, man.
You too, man. Stay safe. Happy
Peace.
metal. Cheers, man.
Peace.